Hey, it's raining outside today, and so this is a rain day video. I'm going to be talking about a workflow that I'm doing for just the camera model I'm working on, which is like a hero prop I'm doing. So I'm using Photoshop and Blender and photography. I'd like to take the pictures of the camcorder itself. My opinion on using photo textures is that it's awesome. I think it gives a really cool look, and you could do post-processing to the photos to get it all like, super even and like super clean, but generally it's not even necessary because I find that it gives character to the photos if they're imperfect, and subsequently your 3D models with those textures, as long as they're done well, meaning so the work you put in to get them optimized and relatively even lighting, then the work you put in will be worth it because it will be unique to yours. It won't be, an assembly line prop. I think that that's something that gets to me, is that to be best, to be better at, like 3D, it's like almost like, all right, like get to know the assembly line, and then start work at the factory. Basically, it's like, dude, I don't know. There's individualism in all of these factors, the workflows that make up the CG, and that's an important thing to me. And so I want to show you guys like what I'm kind of up to. So I take the photos for the map with my cell phone. I'm using an iPhone 8 Plus, so it's got the twin cameras. Doesn't really matter. I don't really take the portrait, whatever it calls portrait. It's like a telephoto mode with a fake blur. I don't use that. What I do is take the iPhone's like photos of the object or thing. Generally, if it's like a small prop, I'll put it on my table, like so my desk, and I have two video lamps. I have a 128 LED array panel video lamp. It takes like Sony NPF lithium-ion battery, and then I also have a 2-bulb Sony halogen lamp, so that's a video lamp as well. But so what you get is a super blue light from the LEDs, and then you get a super orange or yellow tint light from the halogen bulb. The halogen bulb gets really fucking hot, so I only use it basically to cut some of the shadows from the LED, but it also gives a cool effect to have that, that yellow and that blue kind of like fighting for control of your colors. Like just that's a part of my workflow that's kind of ingrained in it's planted at the very beginning. So I don't usually like to go correct that stuff. I think it again gives character. But yeah, so lighting is key, even if you're using your so especially if you're using your cell phone, because if the lighting is poor with cell phone photos, generally the modern smartphones have they have like night lux or whatever, which is just auto turns on when it's like bad exposure or like poor lighting conditions, and that adds so much grain and blur, and it just makes things super muddy, the photos. So you want like ample lighting and like really bright, and you'll know when the camera switches that auto lux or whatever off, because it will look a lot sharper on your screen. Yeah, I usually juggle the two video lamps in my iPhone in my mouth, basically. It's an iPhone Plus, so it's freaking huge. There's something very, I think there's something very folk about the jarring shadows. I don't know if folk is the right word, but I like to think of like silly imperfections as being like folk or naive or whatever. But it adds that element to CG, which I really dig. Takes it away from the mega scans and the assembly line. So like sharp shadows and like shadows that shouldn't be there. I think that's cool. Like I think it adds a lot of character, and although sometimes it can just not work, sometimes it can work, and especially if it's a quick prop. Like so, it's like say, I don't know, a pack of gum. if there's like, you know, the odd, sharp, random fucking shadow across one of the, you know, faces, it's chill. I think it looks cool. It's like, gives it a story almost. It's like, oh, where was the light when they were, you know, taking that photo? Gives some depth. With the photos, all my collection, once I get a bunch of photos from a ton of angles, I like to use perspective correction, just a simple perspective correction on the iPhone. So like you can skew it a bit, like so top, bottom, left, right, and I'll rotate it and crop it, depending on like which area I'm focusing on. And so I'll make an album with all those. I'll crop them, and yeah, I'll throw them all into one large atlas. I use a piece of software called I can't remember the name. Well, I use it's like a Photoshop equivalent on iPhone. God damn, I can't remember that name. Anyways, but yeah, I just throw them all there, make an atlas, export it as a PSD, and then send that to my Google Drive, which I'll then open on Photoshop on my PC, and do some further tweaking, like in using the content aware fill to fill in any of the empty areas. Just bucket that with content aware. And I'll be mindful of a few things, notably, so like pixel density. Like, so, you know, larger areas make up larger portions of the atlas, and like, you know, less important areas, I might squish a bit, like I'll scale it down. Yeah, so another point I wanted to talk about is like, so normal generators. So I'm a fan. I'm fond of Photoshop's auto normals, because you get like pretty fine control and you can see what the hell it'll look like. Whereas some of the other auto ones are just kind of a pain, and they get really weird results. It's also nice to have everything inside Photoshop, so you can, like, say it looks like shit, you can just close out, fix what you need to fix, adjust the levels or whatever, or like change the transparency or change the background color to better blend, and then you can just go right back and generate that normal map. And then from the normal map, I'll generate a specular map, and that's just a simple process of you know, taking the level, so turning it black and white and making the levels pretty contrasted. And you can play with that to get it to your liking. I'm going to use this as the metal, the specular map as the metalness as well. And you'll see also, I just like to play with it sometimes, and then I can just bake it out if I like what I ended up messing with a little bit with color ramps or inversions and whatnot. But yeah, so this is a 2048 by 2048 map. Yeah, and that's great, because it's a power of 2. I could compress it down. I could go to 512 if I wanted to. It would probably look just as good. But it's really, really a good idea to play with when you're generating normals and specular maps. It's really good to play with a higher res copy versus, so if you were playing with a 512 by 512, your normal map that gets generated will be considerably less accurate than if you were playing with a 2048 or say a 4096 texture, like a 4K texture. That will give you the most accurate normal maps that are generated from that diffuse, and then you can later compress that normal map, and if you keep the same, you know, bit depth of the color, because you want that detail, depending on what you want for your low res look. I mean, you could stay with 2048 by 2048 the whole way through if you wanted to, which I do sometimes, because if there's like something that just gets way too muddy with a lower resolution, then I won't bother. Like, it's almost like a whole different ball game sometimes. Okay, I really wanted the buttons on this to be prominent. I wanted them, and I wanted the normals to be like correct. So this is kind of just like, this probably wasn't even necessary, but I basically wanted to make sure that there was a high poly trim sheet version of the normals that I can overlay on top of my generated normal map. So it's just like, you know, fine tuning. But this is like kind of more of an example for you guys of like what you can do. Is like you can really fine tune this stuff, and you can get pretty granular with it, and you don't have to like, you know, go head over heels with doing all the work from scratch, you know, like painting normals. It's like you can just, you know, bend things to your liking, to your way, so it looks how you want. That's a really powerful part of this whole process, is just knowing the right way to kind of bend it so it gets to the end goal of what you see in your head for this prop or whatever. I'll touch on also that there's a really nice you know, workflow where you can, you know, take those shapes, like this, so those line shapes, you can create like a bunch of them, and you can, in edit mode, and you can like copy paste them like I was doing, and you can use the knife project tool to basically cut those shapes that you're able to easily you know, like copy paste, you know, like multiply, duplicate. You know, you could squash and make them all weird. It's like way better than using the knife tool. You just want to make sure that whatever geometry you're projecting that knife onto, you want to make sure that it's subdivided a bit, or else you'll get some weird fucking shading, which is expected, but it's just a reminder. This is version like 100 of the TRV, the camcorder. I've been trying to get things right for like, it seems kind of like this whole month so far. So after I finished my latest project, I just got right back into this. This was a side project for a bit of time, just to get my mind off of you know, the freelance work that I was up to at that time, and also the game. Like this, I could theoretically use it for the computer game at this point, but it's not like firmly in place. But I do have an animation idea I want to use with this camcorder, and it's not another robot. It's gonna be like, I don't know if I want to give it away to you guys. It's gonna be so sick. Yeah, I'll just teaser video. I'm not gonna reveal it yet. My idea, but it incorporates like everything that's going on in my mind state lately. But yeah, the iteration of the maps, this is probably like actually number 4. So there was the original TRV model I made, which was not accurate at all to an actual TRV. It was like the geometry wasn't to spec. It was just kind of like by memory, because I was just making it quick. That's how like I made props when I was making VideoFix, which is totally fine. It's totally a fun workflow. But when you're doing like, I don't know, when you get a little bit, I don't know why, but you just want things to be better the more you do it. You don't want to like, you know, retread on old ground, so you like kind of give it yourself a challenge to make the best thing accurately as possible in the way that you dig. That's a fun thing for me, but it's a bit stressful sometimes, because dude, the steps involved with CGI, dude, there's so much shit that goes into stuff, like, to get it working how it should. And my mind's been in like, you know, game asset creation lately, so it's like, you know, ultra optimize, do things by the books, and it's like a bit numbing because I like doing things off the cuff. But even when you're doing it by the books, there are opportunities to do things that are off the cuff. Yeah, I wanted to talk about a few more things, but I might leave that to the next small video. Maybe like I want to do like questions from you guys, if you had any, and I could like briefly touch on it, or like, you know, set up some video on demand that you could check out. Comcast. Yeah, we just got Comcast. Jack's doing the on demand CGI school. It's gonna be on demand for 99 cents per episode. Such a scam, dude. I don't know if you guys had on demand of the cable box. It's like you could buy shit on the cable box. That was a thing. and it was weird. Alright. Peace, you guys. If you have any like questions or further wonderings about this workflow, or like you're missing some parts of this story if I didn't do a good job of explaining it, I'm happy to help you more with that, because this was kind of just an off-the-cuff video. I just wanted to show some of where my brain is at with texture maps. Okay, thanks. Bye.